Hello everyone, my name is SilverContrail, and today I'm doing a mod spotlight on Aura Cascade. It's a mod by Pixlepix, the same guy from Mindchem, Thaumic Tinker, and you've probably played a few of his mods before. This guy has got a great mod coming out here. This is a really cool mod. There's a lot of things coming out for it. A lot of updates, a lot of new versions. In fact, by the time I'm recording this now, there's probably a new version with more stuff being added to it. So it's a work in progress mod, but what I want to cover in this video is some of the basics and how the aura mechanics work. There's a great book that comes with it. It's called the Encyclopedia Aura. You can make it by crafting one aura crystal and a book. We'll talk about how to make that in a second. The Encyclopedia Aura has almost all of the information you need to know, and it's very easy to find out a lot of different things. So what I want to do here is give more of a visual demonstration rather than a lot of dialogue, because you can find almost all the information in the encyclopedia. As usual with my videos, there's going to be timestamps for all the important parts, so make sure to check those out and jump to the parts that you're interested in. Okay, so this mod, it doesn't add any world gen, but it does add a lot of different materials into the world, or into that are available for crafting. You've got the aura crystals, and they come in a bunch of different colors, black, blue, green, and so on. And each of the aura crystals is derived from the white aura crystal. You make the white aura crystal by surrounding a diamond with glass. You get 64 in a stack. The rest of them are made by taking 8 of the white aura crystals and surrounding a die. So you get 8 white aura crystals plus a die equals 8 of the aura crystal for that color. The reason you're making aura crystals is to create aura. Aura is basically the power system in the game, and it's transmitted between aura nodes. An aura node, we'll grab one of these guys, is created by a block of redstone surrounded by glass panes. Aura nodes connect to each other when they're placed in a straight line. So let me put one here. You can see that they kind of make a little animation, some particles between them. That means they're connected. So if I connect these two, they're connected. These ones aren't connected. But if I put it here, it's connected to all of them. So an aura node, you can see that there's a little tooltip. It has no aura in it right now, but we can put aura into it if we throw some stuff at it. So we've got this one. I'm going to right-click it with the aura crystal, and it's going to gain 100 aura. I can also throw an aura crystal, and it'll consume it, and it'll take that 100 aura. Any of these guys that are connected to each other, if I throw aura into any of them, it will try to transmit them between them. So it's going to try to reach equilibrium between these 4 aura nodes. Now it's not going to send anything to this one because aura does not want to travel upwards. It only wants to travel downwards. Now some of the other aura crystals here have different properties, aura colors basically. Black aura, you can see that I give it to this one. Now it's not going anywhere. That's because black aura doesn't go horizontally. It won't move between these. It also can't be pumped uphill. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it will travel down. In fact, all aura types, I believe, except for orange, want to travel downwards. So while this one, I've given it some aura, you can see that it's almost all draining out of it. The white aura that's in it is going to drain into the bottom. And then it's going to get transmitted around between these guys. Now, they're not going to reach perfect equilibrium. They're going to kind of trade back and forth a little bit. I've noticed that if you unload a chunk and then reload a chunk, they'll try to reach equilibrium again. But they won't be very successful at it. They're not very good at it. So right now they're just kind of transmitting back and forth and doing absolutely nothing. Did I mention this is a work in progress mod? So sometimes they get a little wonky. If I destroy this, the aura that's inside it's going to disappear. Otherwise, you won't lose aura most of the time. Alright, so let's move on from here, and let's talk about pumping aura and the types of things that we're going to use aura with. What we have here is, let's click on this guy, is a cascading smelter. Cascading smelters are made by surrounding a furnace with the aura crystals. You get the cascading smelter. What this does is it basically smelts things. It's a furnace, and as you can expect, kind of like a machine block in other mods, it's powered by this mod's power source. Power in this mod is generated by falling aura. When aura falls from a great height, it generates power to nearby blocks. This block can receive power when aura falls from this node to this node. It can fall directly onto it in some cases, but if you drop it from a high end to a low end, anything that's directly adjacent to this one will receive power. So if I have a block here, it'll get power. If I have a block behind it, it'll get power. Or in front of it, it'll get power. So the question is, how do we power it? Well, we've got a couple of options. One option is to come up here and dump some aura into this. And as it falls, we're going to generate some power in the cascading smelter. You can see that it's got 1 out of 10 on there, which is fine, but I mean, we can sit here and keep pumping in this stuff as long as we want. But that's going to be a little bit wasteful. All of it's eventually going to settle down on the bottom row. So what we're going to use is called a pump. An aura pump takes aura and it pumps it upwards. You know, aura won't flow upwards by itself, but we can make this thing flow upwards. So let's grab some charcoal. I don't have any. Let me grab some charcoal real quick. The burning aura pump will take anything that a regular furnace would. That's not how you spell charcoal. That's how you spell carrot, but not charcoal. Let's see, if we throw it in here, you can see that it's going to gain some power, and it's going to get a certain amount of time on there. That's the amount of time that it will continue to pump aura up. The amount of power is the amount of aura that it's going to send. Generally, I don't think it sends exactly 300 aura per second, but that's about a rough estimate of its power. There are various types of pumps in the game. We'll talk about those in a second, and they generate different amount of power. They last for certain amounts of periods. So what's going on here? Basically, the aura is looping around. When it gets pumped up by the pump, it goes here, it goes over, and then it falls again. These guys are going to try to reach equilibrium, but it's going to keep falling through and reaching this. Now you can see that the power is being transmitted to our cascading smelter here. And if I go ahead and drop off this charcoal, grab some beef, and we throw this out here, when this guy reaches the amount of power that we need to, and we'll dump a little bit more ore in here, kind of speed up the process. Oh, there it goes, and it just smelted one of them. One of the cool things about the cascading smelter is it will continue to chunk load things in the area. So we get some food. Excellent. Okay, so that's the basic gist of it. To power things in the world, you're going to want to have aura looping. So bringing it up with a pump, and then bringing it back down and back over to the pump, and that will transmit power. I don't have to pump anymore. I don't have to put any more aura crystals into the system. All I've got to do is feed this thing coal, and it's going to work fine. Okay, so let's talk about some of the other pumps. The illumination pump. This guy requires anything that provides illumination in the world. So a torch or some glowstone, it will consume that, and it will gain the energy it needs to pump aura. The momentum pump, this one's a little bit interesting actually. This one takes a falling mob to gain power. So if I drop a cow on it, it gains power. So it lasts for 24 seconds, 250 power per second. This one is 180 seconds for 750 power per second. So this one actually has, I think, the highest power per second. Okay. Oh, excuse me. No, I think it's this one that has the most power per second. The projectile pump, you charge this by shooting it with a projectile. You can use a bow and arrow. You can use snowballs. I think there are other various things you can use, and it'll gain. I think it maxes out at 20 seconds per impact at 100 or 1,000 power per second. And then we've got. Let me drop these off. The redstone pump. This guy will consume redstone when it's powered, so it's actually going to break the redstone blocks, and then it'll power it all the way. And right now it's maxed out, so it's not going to accept anymore. But if I break it, place it again, and turn it on, you can see it breaks those redstone pieces. And this one powers at 1500. So we've got from most, this is the most power, this is the second most, then this guy, then the momentum pump, and then finally the Cascade or the burning aura pump, which is 300 power. Which is actually no, that's a little bit higher than the momentum pump. We've got the aura capacitor. The aura capacitor basically stores aura, and if you give it a redstone signal, it'll transmit it, but it won't send it. And then the conserving aura node. This is a special type of aura node. Basically, what this will do is it'll send aura horizontally, but it won't send it vertically, so it won't send any to this aura node here. So that's kind of useful for certain types of builds. You'll see more in a bit. And for the aura capacitor, this one reaches a limit, I think. So you can see when it makes that little animation, that means it reached its limit, and it's going to discharge all of its aura. Okay. Then we've got the aura manipulators. These guys basically generate infinite amounts of aura. And you might think, wow, that's really overpowered. Well, black aura and orange aura, which is what these infinitely create, don't generate power when they fall. In fact, I believe the orange aura can't move vertically. They're used for other things. Orange aura specifically, it will induce a current in nearby nodes. When aura of a certain color of black or orange reaches these guys, they'll actually destroy that aura and get rid of it. This is generally used for pumping aura through a system that you're not going to use for power. This one, you're usually going to use the orange aura to direct the current and flow of aura in a system and kind of encourage it to go a certain direction. Okay, so that's basically it for some of the basic flow mechanics. Now that we've seen all this stuff in action, let's get talking about what we can do with this aura. Because, like, again, you know, the flow of the aura is one thing. What we can do with it involves Vortex Infusion and consumers. Alright, so there are a lot of consumers in the game. We already talked about the Cascading Smelter earlier. We've got the Cascading Spawner that spawns mobs, Synthesizer that creates some materials we'll need for endgame items. We've got Processor that processes ores and turns them into dust, and then the Looter that loots nearby chests, and the Grower that increases the growth of crops. These guys are all powered by aura, but they take different types of aura in a lot of cases. Some of them require some certain crafting recipes to make, so if I click on this guy, I think the Processor does require... Yes. We get an NEI recipe here for a Vortex Infusion. If it sounds like infusion crafting in Thaumcraft, you're not far from the mark. And it basically comes down to the Vortex controller. You can see it's got a little crafting grid on it. Vortex crafting is how you're going to make a lot of the items. So if we click over here, here's the original recipe for the Vortex controller and all the information for doing the Vortex Infusion. Also on the subsequent pages in here, it's going to talk about all the different recipes you can do. So there's a lot of actually really cool stuff. You can turn sand into soul sand. You can turn iron into gold and gold into diamonds. A couple of other cool things in here. Ender pearls into eyes of ender. Although that's not really too useful. You can make saddles, but that's pretty cool. They can make a bunch of blaze powder, or even make leather from rotten flesh. That's actually pretty useful. All right. So, we're going to need a couple of things here. Let me jump over here and grab some stuff. First, you're going to need the Vortex controller, and then 4 Vortex pedestals. And then we're going to need to have to set up a way to give these Vortex pedestals their aura. Each of these pedestals needs the aura. There's a couple of different ways to do this. My ideal way is to generally link it back, pump it in from up top, let it fall, and then we'll just move it right back. So we'll go ahead and set this up real quick. Okay. We're going to do a... Let's see, which pump should we use? Let's use the... I should have just searched it. Pump. Let's use the illumination pump, and we'll grab a bunch of glowstone. Alright. Actually, we should use the redstone pump. Let's use the redstone pump, because it does have the most power, and we do want power in this case, more than anything else. So again, we're going to use some redstone, and we'll grab a torch, redstone torch, and we'll grab some redstone that we're going to feed it. So we can do this, and we can give it some power, and now it has a bunch of power. Not very long, but it does have it. And we don't have any aura in the system yet, because when this guy... this pump pumps it up, we need to have it go somewhere. So we'll build up a little bit. Alright. Bring this across. Okay. Oop, I actually didn't mean to do that. Obviously, if you're not in creative mode, this is going to be a little bit more tricky. So then we can use nodes up here and transmit the nodes across. And this is going to be, for example purposes, this isn't going to be very good. You generally want your nodes to be higher up in the air if you can. The higher they are when they fall, the more power you're going to generate. So we're not going to really generate that much power in this case. So next, we're going to want to do a recipe. Let's go ahead and load up the recipe here. This rotten flesh recipe requires any aura, so we're just going to use white aura since we're vanilla and plain. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's dump a bunch of aura into the system. We should be good to go. Oh, nope, we're missing one. There we go. All right, now we're good to go. Okay, so we put some aura into the system. It doesn't matter where it goes, really. And we should send it right up to this guy in a moment. In a moment. Unless this guy wants a redstone signal. Oh, that's why. Yeah, so these guys, if you give them a redstone signal, they won't pump aura. That was my fault. Okay, so here we go. It's sending all of the aura up here. It's going to transmit it. Actually, we don't need that. I kind of forgot what I was doing. And it's going to generate power, or will generate power, if we have a recipe loaded, which we don't right now. So we're going to get some rotten flesh. We just need 4 of it. Oop. I'm not sure if it will take it from creative mode. Oh, it will. It's a good thing I grabbed more. All right. Now it knows that it's making leather. And you can see all of the numbers here are for each pedestal. Each pedestal does need to reach that 100,000 number for power. And this is basically infusion crafting. It'll go a little bit faster depending on how you have it set up. This one's tricky. And basically, I'm just going to keep recycling the power. It's going to get pumped up here. It's going to go to these guys. It's going to get distributed to all of these. And then it's going to come back. Now, there are definitely lots of different ways to do this. I've basically showed you one example of dozens of ways to set this up. And this is going to let you make all of the different machines that you want to make, as well as a lot of late game things, which we're going to be talking about in the next section, which is going to be about all of the items in there, which there are quite a few of. Things with angel steel, things with the fairy charms, the protection amulets. We'll be talking about this in the next spotlight, where we discuss items specifically. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this spotlight. Definitely give this mod a shot. It is a lot of fun. It's very challenging. It does require you to think about power systems in a very different way. So yeah, we're about 2,000, 10,000. So it's not generating power very quickly. Again, if I bring these up to their max height limit, which I think is about 11 blocks or so, it'll generate power a lot quicker. And the more aura you're bringing down each second, so if I have like a bunch of aura down here, up here, it'll flow faster down here and it'll generate more power. So yeah, definitely give it a shot. It's a lot of fun to experiment with. I'm still trying to learn it. But that's basically the most basic fundamental understanding of aura mechanics and flow that I can give you, as well as a visual demonstration. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and until next time then.